Mississippi carries out its first execution in nearly a decade.
Germany's COVID infection rates are skyrocketing.
And a supply chain issue that may affect your Thanksgiving dinner.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV News at Noon. I'm Chanel Young.
And I'm Michael Matthews. Big changes are coming to the U.S. Army by way of UNT. 3 laboratories at Discovery Park have been researching new ways to improve protection for the warfighter. Our reporter Andrew Fancher had a chance to visit one of these labs and see the simulation process personally.
UNT received a $5.5 million grant from the Army Research Laboratory. The ARL is the final part of a $20 million project nearly 5 years in the making.
Yeah, so this is our lab that we do the simulations and some materials research here.
Dr. Idi Jiang leads one of 3 UNT laboratories involved in the project, developing new bulletproof materials for the U.S. Army.
Learning inherently is very enjoyable for me.
Dr. Jiang is accompanied by Mirsat Sohani, a PhD student from Iran. Together, they simulate the alloys that will soon protect U.S. soldiers from this.
So from our responsibility, we're focusing on the simulation and modeling to better understand and explain the mechanism for these high entropy, high performance materials.
Dr. Jiang's lab reports to the U.S. Army quarterly and meets with top officials annually. The project is still ongoing.
The pandemic has made food insecurity a widespread issue for American families. Military families are no different.
Go, 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 go.
It was hard enough when Rachel Sabo's husband deployed during the pandemic. Harder still when she lost her job, pregnant with her now 11-month-old son.
I think anyone who has never gone through this, they don't really know how difficult it is until they've actually had to go through it.
Like so many other military families, Sabo found herself struggling financially. She turned to military food pantries at Fort Bragg, which helped make ends meet until she returned to work and her enlisted husband received a promotion.
Everyone needs help at some point in their lives, so you might as well take advantage of it.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced Wednesday that more help is on its way. In addition to an increase in housing allowances in high-priced areas, active duty troops will get financial education and better access to financial resources.
Our men and women in uniform and their families have enough to worry about. Basic necessities like food and housing shouldn't be among them.
The steepest rise in inflation in decades has pushed the cost of food, fuel, and housing even higher, all during the COVID-19 pandemic. Unemployment amongst military spouses worsened, and affordable childcare for military families became harder to find.
I think COVID really was that point. Like we saw an increase in the demand for food at most of our locations by as much as 400%. And again, I tie that back to spouse unemployment and childcare.
As many as 125,000 active duty service members struggle with food insecurity, according to Feeding America, a nonprofit that runs a national network of food pantries. Shannon Rasadin, director of the Military Family Advisory Network, says their food distribution events draw thousands of families across the country, especially in high-priced areas.
And they're going through and they're coming out relieved. You know, we've had families literally tell us, thank you so much, I didn't know what I was going to feed my kids tonight.
As costs of basic staples keep rising, shoppers today are paying over 5% more for their groceries than just a year ago, which concerns advocates who worry that members of the military experiencing financial hardship for the first time may not seek the help they need.
The state of Mississippi conducted its first execution since 2012. CNN's Courtney Jackson has more on the day's events.
In the hours leading up to the execution, a handful of protesters gathered.
I couldn't stay home when the state of Mississippi is executing somebody. Wish we would wake up and quit doing it. It's violent, and it's, you know, there's all this ceremonial stuff, you know, where you can park, what you can do, and we're killing somebody. He's going to be dead.
The commissioner spent time with David Nilcox on a few different occasions ahead of the execution, and despite having a lack of regret in filings to the court since 2018,
he talked about closure to the victims and particularly to his sons because of, taking their mom and so forth. So he has been remorseful.
His last meal?
We ate with him, and we had catfish, and we had coleslaw and hush puppies, and we had a banana pudding, French fries.
Everything happened on schedule. We spoke with some of the media witnesses when they returned to get an idea of what happened in that room.
And he had a white sheet up to here, and he had on a red jumpsuit. He had a beard, and his hair was kind of unkempt. And he said the last words.
Those words were, "I want my children to know that I love them very much, and I was a good man at one time. And don't ever read anything but the King James Bible. And I want to thank the commissioner for being so kind to me. And that's all I got to say."
Cox appeared to sort of move his mouth a little bit, maybe, like his lips were working like that. And then his breathing appeared to be labored based on how his chest and throat were moving for just a couple of minutes after the drugs, I assume, were administered.
Well, let's cross our fingers that tonight the skies will be clear because we can take part in a historic event. Just by looking up, we may be able to see a lunar eclipse. It will be the longest partial eclipse in nearly 600 years. As long as the skies are clear, everyone in the United States can actually see it. A lunar eclipse happens when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon and throws a shadow over the moon, essentially blocking it from our sight. The good news is you can look directly at this lunar eclipse, which of course you can't do with the solar eclipse.
You know, I'm definitely looking forward to tonight's lunar eclipse. It'll be a really nice addition to our Texas sky.
Speaking of Texas skies, I wonder how it's looking out there today. Let's hear from our weather anchor, Justine Ahrens. Justine?
Thanks, Michael and Chanel. Well, right now it's 49, feels like 46, with a wind speed of 12 miles per hour and sunny conditions. But until later tonight, you can expect clear conditions as well as a freeze warning. It's expected to be 32, feeling like 30 with a wind speed of 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, expected to be 61, feeling like 58 with a wind speed of 10 miles per hour in sunny conditions. That's all I have for right now, but tune in later for a full weather report. Back to you at the desk.
Well, not only is it the beginning of the holiday season, but it's also the beginning of the campaign season. Just one day after announcing his run for governor against Greg Abbott, Democratic candidate Beto O'Rourke says he raised more than $2 million. His campaign released the numbers to show his fundraising ability. He has been campaigning along the Texas-Mexican border since Monday. The last time O'Rourke ran for major office was in 2018 against Senator Ted Cruz.
North Texas is filled with so many activities that many people don't even know about.
I agree, Michael. I know our reporter Talea can give us something fun to do that's just around the corner. Talea?
Indoor activities are much preferred. Head east of UNT to find the historical Denton Firefighter Museum that consists of both fun and educational activities. Here's the story.
Located on Hickory Street, just east of the University of North Texas, sits the Denton Firefighter Museum that is designed to showcase the relics from the 19th century to represent all that being a part of the fire department is about. There are no worries to be able to look but not touch. The experience can be done solo or in a group tour to get the chance to try on actual firefighting gear and see equipment that was used decades ago. Visitors are in store for a blast of the past with free admission as well. The museum is open weekdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and serves the purpose of demonstrating both tangible and historical education in Denton, Texas. The Denton Fire Department has been up and running since 1874, and a museum that pays homage to their hard work as well as firefighters across the nation is preserving their valiant duties.
Up next, a 5-week-long strike has come to an end.
And if you're looking to do some shopping, we have details on a curated secondhand shop in Denton. Stay with us. At the John Deere Company could finally be coming to an end. More than 10,000 workers could be returning after the majority of union members accepted the company's final offer. It includes an immediate 10% raise, an $8,500 signing bonus, and 5% pay bumps in years 3 and 5 of the deal. John Deere has also agreed to reinstate a cost of living adjustment to protect workers from increasing consumer prices. The United Auto Workers and John Deere are both praising this deal.
A new study says that roughly 30% of healthcare workers were still unvaxxed as of mid-September. The CDC and Johns Hopkins University studied data from 3.4 million healthcare workers in over 2,000 hospitals. The researchers noted that with new federal requirements, certain healthcare workers will need to be fully vaccinated by January 4th. The researchers have also said that more efforts are needed to improve vaccination numbers among healthcare workers. But America is not the only country battling COVID. Germany reported more than 64,000 cases within the past 24 hours. This is over 12,000 cases higher than the day before. According to the country's CDC center, the spike is by way of a low vaccination rate, one of the lowest in Western Europe. And while Chancellor Angela Merkel has described the situation as dramatic, the government is discussing a draft law that will impose the newer restrictions.
As vaping continues to rise in popularity, small devices like this one increase the appeal to get started. But what impact will vaping have on the tobacco industry, and how can it affect your health?
Denton Cigar Co. is a lounge and bar that prides itself on their authentic products and the art of smoking. It's important to understand how that art is changing from grinded tobacco to liquid vapor.
Tobacco has been around way before even human civilization ever existed. With e-cigarettes, it's a whole nother ballpark. Now, in comparison to e-cigarettes and vaping, you've become used to the nicotine. You want to go ahead and have a quick smoke and get back to doing what you were doing.
The convenience and design of buying an e-cig has introduced a new way of getting the addicting chemical into your body. But what do health experts and students think about the stigma of vaping being healthier?
It's been a long time coming. I mean, e-cigarettes have been around for years, if not a couple of decades. And, alcohol and tobacco have caused more deaths than any other substance.
People definitely market off of that, like, oh, it's not as bad as cigarettes, it's not whatever. But, I mean, I feel like if you really did your research on the side effects and just the things that come out of it, it can be more harmful than people think it is.
I do not vape anymore. I used to. I have stopped for about a year now, and I just quit because I'm scared of the long-term health benefits, and I don't want to get lung cancer.
You're inhaling chemicals. You're inhaling, in some cases, metals from the, the pods themselves or from the devices that actually heat things up, and so where are those coming from? Are they FDA approved? I mean, no.
It's commonly known that nicotine is a highly addictive chemical. If you need help quitting, there are always counselors ready to help.
U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken took part in a UN environmental event about ocean plastics in Nairobi. The International Emissions Observatory agreed to sign the Global Methane Pledge, a promise to cut global methane emissions by at least 30% by the year 2030. Many other countries, including from Africa, shared more plans to cut emissions. Commitments include more investments for vulnerable countries. Blinken urges major methane emitters to join the team, including China. Doing so would be the equivalent of, quote, taking every ship out of the seas and every plane out of the seas in terms of emissions. Let's hope we can get those emissions cut. Here's to a safer environment.
Speaking of environment, I'd love to know what our local weather is doing. Justine, can you give us a look at the full weather?
Thanks, Michael and Chanel. Well, right now across North Texas, temperatures are ranging through the 40s and 50s. Gainesville is at 49, and Dallas and McKinney are both at 50. Now let's take a look across the state of Texas, where you can see the temperatures are also fairly low. Our coolest temperature here is Amarillo at 36, and our warmest here is Houston at 64. Now let's finally take a look at our 7-day forecast to see what we can expect for the next week. As you can see, for the most part, this next week is going to be pretty sunny, with an exception for Sunday and Wednesday, where you can also expect a 20% chance of rain. Our lows, except for our freeze warning today, are going to be in the 40s and 50s, and our highs are going to be in the 60s and 70s. That's all I have for weather. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Justine. With this cooler weather coming in, North Texans are probably looking to whip out their winter wardrobes. If you're wanting to stock up, I have just the shop for you. I had the opportunity to visit a new retail option near the Denton Square, Salvage Secondhand Shop. Check it out. As the changing climate takes center stage, many Denton residents are looking to fill their closets sustainably and affordably. One newcomer in the local fashion scene is Salvage Secondhand Shop, located on Oak Street near the downtown square. Inside, shoppers will find a colorful array of clothing, art, and music. Juliana DeGennaro curates the clothing throughout the store, helping buyers find the good stuff.
The purpose for people like us is we do the searching for you, and we do the hard work, and we bring you the best stuff we can find.
Even though the clothes are curated, Juliana makes sure that buying clothes at Salvage won't break the bank.
If you go to Forever 21 or H&M and you buy something that's fast fashion for 20 bucks, you could come here and find something that's good quality, that's been pre-loved, and you could give it a second chance at, making you feel beautiful, and it'll be around the same price.
Because the clothes are one of a kind, shoppers sometimes won't fit into a garment perfectly off the rack. Juliana doesn't think that should scare potential customers away, though.
I think if somebody were to find something here, they could always take it to their favorite alterations place or tailor, because that is something to make secondhand pieces work for you. I don't want anybody to come into my shop and feel like they are excluded. I want them to feel like they are safe.
When we return, do you like free coffee? If so, then Starbucks has you covered.
And your Thanksgiving dinner may be in jeopardy, along with your wallet. Stay with us. It's just past noon, and your first coffee of the day may be wearing off right about now.
If you're looking for that second dose of caffeine and you're near campus, our reporter Nomi has the perfect option for a sweet treat for you. Nomi?
Here and okay. Oh. Thanks, guys. So yes, as adults, we all know just how important it is to come to Starbucks and get a hold of that morning caffeine. But if you don't come to Starbucks that often, you should definitely head over today, because today only you can get a chance to get a hold of this reusable Starbucks holiday cup. Now, all you have to do is pretty much come to participating Starbucks, order a holiday drink or a fall beverage, and this cup could be all yours. As we can see, we already have some students getting a hold of this promotion here at the Starbucks coffee stand. Now, me personally, I'm gonna get myself a peppermint latte because it is super cold out here and I am in need of a warm drink. I'm gonna go get in line, but for now, back to you.
Thanks, Naomi. You know, I really love free coffee and I love Starbucks, but something that's definitely not going to be free this year is Thanksgiving dinner. According to the Farm Bureau's 36th annual survey, the average price of turkey and other Thanksgiving dishes might be up 14% this year. The price of the turkey alone has risen 24%. The price increases are due to the supply chain issues. There's also been a struggle with anticipating demand because of COVID and high global demand for food, meat in particular.
You know someone who I am sure really knew how to make a great Thanksgiving dinner? It's Julia Child. And we're about to learn a whole lot more about her because the directors of RGB are making a comeback with another documentary about an iconic woman, this time one who pioneered American home cooking. David Daniel has the inside scoop.
Cooking was a world of men.
Women were basically part of the window dressing.
You certainly didn't see them teaching. I'm Julia Child. Welcome to the French Chef.
She changed everything.
Directors Betsy West and Julie Cohen go into and beyond the kitchen with Julia.
As soon as I got into France and realized what it was all about, one taste of that food and I never got over it. I decided that I would enroll in the Cordon Bleu.
Julia Child didn't discover her love and her passion for food until she was 39 years old. And then she spent 12 years honing her craft.
She just seemed so unpretentious.
Well, that didn't go very well.
We wanted to show Julia making mistakes, as she frequently did, because how she handled the mistakes was kind of magical. How she just sort of dealt with it and moved on and encouraged her viewers to do the same.
When you cook, you give your love. God knows it's a love affair with Paul.
The film also focuses on her 50-year romance with husband Paul Child.
Paul fell in love with Julia's joie de vivre, her vibrancy, her smarts, just how much fun she was. And Julia fell in love with Paul's mind.
We need to tell how important this woman is, will be.
This is Julia Child. Bon appetit.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
That documentary sure does look fun.
I agree. Let's keep the fun going with some sports. Jalen Jackson, what can you tell us?
I have everything from the world of sports when we come back. The Dallas Cowboys came out on fire last week against the Atlanta Falcons and took home a 43-3 win. There was an absolute explosion on both sides of the ball, with the Cowboys scoring 27 points in just the second quarter alone and holding Atlanta Falcons to only 3 points for the whole game. The Cowboys marched out there and got 3 turnovers, which were all interceptions, and yes, one of them did belong to Trayvon Diggs. The Cowboys are now sitting at the top of the NFC East at 7-2. They'll be back at it this Sunday at 3:25 at Arrowhead Stadium. The Mean Green is now on a 3-game winning streak. This past Saturday, the Mean Green took on the UTEP Miners. The Mean Green took home a 20-17 win, kicking a game-winning field goal. Ethan Mooney knocked down a 27-yard field goal to win them the game. The Mean Green will be facing off against the FIU Panthers this Saturday at 6 p.m. away. Will the Mean Green be able to do it? We'll just have to wait and see. With the end of football season drawing near, it's time to shine some light on the Mean Green basketball team. The team is now 1-1 and they're looking for a good season this year. Now tonight, UNT faces off against the UTA Mavericks at the Pit at 7 p.m. Now, will this be a great season like the last few, or will UNT fall off? We'll just have to see. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Jalen. Well, it's a big day for two iconic mice. It's Mickey and Minnie's birthday. Both are turning 93 years old today. On this day in 1928, Mickey and Minnie made their first appearances in the animated movie Steamboat Willie. And for some more fun facts, Mickey and Minnie were originally named Mortimer and Minerva. They also both have their own stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You can celebrate this very, very special day by watching a classic Disney cartoon starring Mickey and Minnie, by wearing classic merchandise, or by stopping by a Disney theme park. Well, I haven't been to Disneyland or World in a while, but what do you think?
On that note, thanks for watching ntTV News at noon.
Join us again tonight here on North Texas Television.
I told you not to do that.
You can't.